Last save loaded.
Hello and welcome to the Last Save Loaded podcast. I'm GBJoey, and there on the other side of the drink is my friend and co-host, Jake Del Toro. How are you, Jake?
I'm fine, thank you. How about yourself? Been up to anything interesting?
Not really. Just nothing. Just work, really. Boring stuff. I don't really want to go into it. Just boring. And students getting into fights, students not doing their homework, all this stuff going on. But no. Nothing interesting. What about yourself?
Work-wise, it's been the same. Pretty uneventful. Been playing a few games here and there when I can, when I get the time. Well, as you'll know, I've got a young daughter, and so I don't get much time in the evenings around tea time when I used to play anymore. So I tend to do my gaming late night, which there are a few people that do play at the same time as me, but multiplayer games tend to be slim pickings when I'm playing. But we do have well, you'll know about this very well. We do have a sort of set game on a Friday, don't we? And once again, this Friday, we had a great time on Red Dead Redemption multiplayer, which we've been playing now for, 6 months non-stop, at least, on the multiplayer, and still not bored of it.
No, it's been good fun. It's just shooting each other's horses, and it's got to be the Good Friday. The Good Friday, which has just recently been christened what? Go on.
Friday Cliff Jump Day. And why is that?
No, go on. You can do a better job than I ever can. Go on, you go for it. Go on, tell them what happened this Friday. Go on, what we were up to.
Well, it's the same as every Friday. We do a few gang hideouts, cause a bit of mischief. We usually end up in a few wars with griefers who try to come and basically, cunts that come and try and piss us off while we're playing, doing hideouts, and we just have none of it and end up usually warring with them for a while. Which is sometimes fun. Sometimes it's good when you get the people who are sort of a little bit more mature in what they're doing and understand that not everyone wants to do that. And if you ask them to, they'll leave you alone. Or likewise, if someone asks us to leave them alone, we'll go and do something else. But you do occasionally get it tends to be younger players. They usually sound like they're about 12, 13. And if you ask them to go away and leave you to your own business, they have none of it, basically, don't they?
What are you doing? It's all that stuff.
That's a good impression, that. It's you, isn't it? It's not other players, it's you always doing it. But anyway, a sort of meta game that we've created on our travels around New Austin is finding the biggest cliffs in the game and jumping off them, basically. A bit of tombstoning without the water.
It's good fun because the old jump from the top is quite good fun to watch from a distance, or even down below, as you watch the sort of the starring avatar just come down, tumbling down the side of the cliff.
Yeah, I think the ragdoll effects are a little bit disappointing, to be honest, but it's still good fun doing it. What we tend to do is one person's at the top and one person's at the bottom. This sounds like a sex game now, but yeah, it's at the bottom of the cliff, I should say, instead of just saying at the bottom, and you basically watch the other person jump to the death.
Or try and shoot their horse as they jump over the edge. That's also good fun.
Oh yeah, that's a good one. Just as the horse is getting to the edge, see if you can take its head off with a shotgun and get the other player to catapult over the edge. If anyone wants to join us doing that, we're on PS3 on Friday evenings, usually from about 11 o'clock UK time, on Red Dead Redemption. So
no parachutes allowed. Just cliff jumping straight from the top, and a bit of fun.
It's more fun doing it than it is talking about it.
It is, and it's very, very sort of hard to describe the effects.
Yeah, it's just good fun. It's a laugh to do.
So apart from cliff jumping, what else have you been up to? That's it.
Gaming wise, I've been playing a few older PS2 games. I've got plenty of PS3 games, but nothing that other people haven't covered on other podcasts. So I'll leave them as they are. But the PS2 games I've been playing Jak and Daxter, the Precursor Legacy. Did you ever play it when it came out at all? Are you familiar with it?
No, it caught my eye. It's one of those games that I never got around to buying. Maybe there was, as there always is, something else on the shelf that was far more attractive. But yeah, I'd like to have a go on that. That wouldn't be too bad.
Yeah, it's a great game. It's one of the games that, as I've mentioned on the one of the last episodes, that if a game doesn't grab me straight away, it can take me absolutely ages to finish it sometimes. But the first time I played through Jak and Daxter, I think I bought it on the Friday and finished it on the Saturday evening. I basically played it non-stop. I was at university at the time, so I didn't have anything better to do. And I just played it straight through basically, and absolutely loved it. So I've gone back to that for I probably will finish it again, but it'll take me a bit longer this time. I'm not sort of rushing it as I did then, but I'm having just as much fun with it. It's a fantastic game.
Talking of old games and fun and everything else, why are we here, Jake? Give us a bit of a preamp of what's gonna happen.
Basically, we're just here to intro the next game we're going to be doing for the main podcast, which should be out in, I'd say, 2 or 3 weeks. If you listen to the very end of the last podcast, you'll have heard a little bit of a teaser, just a little bit of a hint as to what the next game's going to be. I say a teaser, it was blindingly obvious really if you listen to it, what the game was going to be, or at least what series it was going to be. But do you want to tell everyone which game from the series we're going to be playing, Joe?
Mm-hmm. The Metal Gear Solid series, obviously, as the old the codec explained or gave a clue to. We've got the Metal Gear Solid 3 Snake Eater. That's what we're going to be putting on the PS2 this time round, and having a go at that, and maybe having a look at some old Metal Gear tactics, and crawling around the undergrowth and seeing what we can come up with this time round.
Absolutely. Why Snake Eater? Why not the first one?
Well, I think it serves as a good prequel to the stories, and I think the PS1 game was fantastic. I don't think it needs any going over. Once again, I think everybody knows it's brilliant. I enjoyed it. I'm sure you did too. So I think it's best left alone. I really wanted to go back and do Snake Eater because I felt that it was one of those games that I'd sort of missed out on, and I really, really wanted to relive it again. And I think it's just I don't know what to expect. I know what to expect. Let me rephrase that. I know what to expect, but I really don't know what is in it. What substance is in it, what I'm going to get out of it, and I really am intrigued to sort of go back and investigate and give it a real good go this time. Yeah,
I'm the same. I bought it when it was first released. I don't think I bought it on day one, but I definitely got it around the time it was released, and I think I got about an hour or so into it. And
why did you stop? Why did you leave it?
I've been thinking about that, and I moved over to France. I think it was a couple of months after it came out. Do you know what? That's wrong, actually. I can't have bought it when it was new, because I moved to France in 2006. It was released in 2005, wasn't it? I must have got it quite a while after release then, because it was definitely me going away that stopped me playing it. I got so far into it and then sort of moved away, and I didn't have my PlayStation, or I didn't even have a telly over there. Purely from a selfish point of view, that's why I wanted to go back to this one, just to sort of to finally get it done, and so I can move on to number 4 then, because I bought Metal Gear Solid 4. I actually bought that on day one in I think it was 2008, wasn't it? And I started playing it, and I felt like I didn't want to play it until I'd done Snake Eater, but then never went back to Snake Eater, and then something else on the PS3 caught my attention, and I never went back to 4 either. So once I've done this, I'm looking forward to going back to number 4 as well.
I think Metal Gear Solid 3 also, if I remember correctly, it was well received publicly and critically. It sold 3.96 million copies worldwide and was scoring really highly, 91% on review aggregates. So I think it was just a chance, an opportunity to sort of go back and relive the old moments, and I think this is something that I've left on the shelf for a considerable amount of time and not gone back to. And I think the reason that I didn't finish it was basically because I just got bored of just waiting around. There was a couple of missions as well, I don't remember, and I probably won't go into them in too much detail just yet, because I want to make sure that they were from this game. But I think I just got really frustrated of just sitting around and doing nothing and just watching cutscenes. So I left it, I put it back up on the shelf, and that was it really. That's the last I saw of it until now. Well, we'll go into detail and talk about what our expectations are and what we hope to get out of this in a few minutes, straight after the break. Meanwhile, here's a trailer.
They've stolen the ultimate weapon and brought the world to the brink of destruction. Now, one man is all that stands in their way. Metal Gear Solid 3, Snake Eater, rated M for mature. Peace, by any means necessary.
Okay, right now we'll move on just to our general sort of experiences with the game from when we've played it in the past. As I said, I think I played it for about an hour, maybe just over an hour. I got up to a first little section. I think if memory serves, you work your way through sort of I'd call it a jungle corridor. You go through certain screens and you get into a base where I think you've got to rescue someone or find someone who's located on the base and being held hostage.
And you got enough information from just playing it for an hour? I mean, by that I mean, did you realise that you didn't like it, or that you did like it just from an hour, just from doing that little bit, as you say?
Yeah, well, do you know what? I did absolutely love playing it, but because of sort of work circumstances and moving away, I just never got into it very far, which is why I'm looking forward to playing it again. It's definitely one of the games I regret never finishing.
No, the reason I ask is because it's one of those games that maybe perhaps if you've played the ones before, you either like it or love it, and you sort of get to this sort of new game that just comes out and you're thinking, oh wait, I'm dying to play the next one. And I was much like that. I think I really enjoyed, and I went out and got it the first day, and hence the limited edition here. But I was, after about 3-4 hours of it, I was sort of a bit bored of doing the same thing and just waiting around, like I said. Right. And I think that's what put me off. But I'm sure the story is really, really good, and it probably gives you a lot of information as to what the other Metal Gear previous games on the PS1 and the ones before this were really sort of about, and what they contained. And it gives you information about characters like Ocelot and many others.
Yeah, sort of a bit of a backstory to them. Yeah, well, as I said, I'm not sure if I did say, but I've played and absolutely loved the first two Metal Gear Solid on the PS1 and Sons of Liberty on the PS2. They're two of my favourite games of all time, so I knew pretty much that I was going to love Snake Eater. I never got the chance to get into it as much as I would have liked. It's
a good way to bring this out and give us an opportunity to play prequels and really know where those characters have come from, and where they started, their relationship with Snake, if we want to call it that. I think I'll be really interested. I'm looking forward to a bit of background history on characters. Ocelot, Revolver Ocelot, I seem to like quite a bit. I think that I'm going to enjoy this a lot more this time round. I'm hoping that I do as well, and I don't get frustrated by just waiting around. I know the cutscenes. I'm expecting cutscenes, really long cutscenes, but I'm willing to sit through those if it's going to help me with the story and get to understand the characters better this time. And it being a prequel, give me some more information into understanding the story, because I didn't. If anybody were to ask me, what's the story of Metal Gear about, and can you explain it to me? For me, it's a bit patchy. I don't really have the either end of the story. There's a bit in the middle that's a bit fuzzy. I've got certain references to different characters. I've got robots. I've got massive machines, destroying machines. What's your? Can you explain it to me? I have no idea what's going on.
I think it's quite famously quite confusing, isn't it? And a bit of a. I don't know what the word is, but yeah, it's quite it's long-winded and quite confusing, I think. But the overall plot now, I've got absolutely no sort of recollection as to what was going on. I remember being really into the story, especially from the first game when I first played that, when that was first released, and I was absolutely gripped by the story all the way through that. And I probably was on the second one, but I can't really remember that quite as well, which might be because I was at uni and I was pissed half the time, but
as we all were.
Oh yeah, but no, I can't. If like you, if someone would come up and ask me what's the story from Metal Gear Solid, I'd just tell them to go and play it and find out for themselves, because I wouldn't know where to start, to be honest.
Yeah, it's very confusing. I'm completely lost with it. So I'm hoping that this will fill in the gaps a little bit.
Well, will it fill in gaps though? Because it's a prequel, isn't it? So will it actually fill any gaps from the later stories?
I don't know. You might get some more background as to where the characters started off and where they originally met the first time, if anything. It might give you an opportunity to see maybe some of these characters were friends before. I don't know. Honestly, don't know. I'm just speculating here. Maybe they were friends or they were allies at some point, and we're talking about a situation that's, you know, set in the Cold War era in the Soviet Union, and so there's lots of hate about, and it's sort of very, very difficult to get who's on whose side. So I'm hoping this will iron out the kinks a little bit as well, and give me an opportunity to see maybe there's a bit of rivalry, a bit of revenge, something. I'm looking forward to finding a little piece of the story or some sort of twist that'll give me that fix that I'm looking for, and I'm looking forward to sitting there and going, yes, I was expecting something like this from the beginning, from when I started. But I don't know if I'm going to get it. That's the thing. I'll come back in a couple of weeks and tell you whether it did satisfy my appetite, because I'm not too sure whether it is at the moment. I'm expecting too much for somebody who's already played this and is listening to me at the moment. They're probably thinking, what the hell are you thinking? What are you doing? If that's the case, then forgive me. But I want to be right in some aspects, I think.
The story aside, what are your sort of main recollections of playing the game? What sort of, if you were to sort of think about your playthroughs of the past from this game, what pops into your head first? What do you remember most vividly?
Well, I remember the starting, the beginning, the scene. I remember Snake sitting in the back of his aircraft carrier. Not the boat. Aircraft carrier. That's a boat. That's a ship. Aircraft, and it carries tanks and vehicle. What are those things called? The ones that carry military tanks and things to destinations, like a big aircraft.
Yeah, like a big Hercules type thing.
That's the one. Yeah, I can't think of the name. And I remember seeing or remember him sitting in the back of that, having some sort of conversation, maybe a mission brief, maybe some sort of dialogue. And I remember really, really clearly a part where he's got this mask on, or he doesn't have this mask on. I can't remember exactly, but what I do remember is him smoking a cigarette, you know, in a very sort of Hollywood-esque way, and then just flicking the butt and it bouncing on the ground in slow motion. I remember that. So actually, when somebody speaks to me about Snake Eater and they say, what do you remember about it, like you just did just then, that's the first vision that comes straight into my mind, just that scene. I'm hoping it's from this game, because I'm not sure. But hopefully.
Yeah, well, a lot of the Metal Gear Solid games are quite similar, aren't they? So I think it is quite easy to sort of recollect something thinking it's from one game, but it actually being from another. But I think I do remember that scene, not as well as you do, obviously, but I couldn't place which one it was from, so let's hope it's from Snake Eater.
I think it probably was, because I do remember the aircraft sitting at the back, and then I think he jumps, and that's as far as I've got. I'm just looking here at the box art, and it looks very greeny and camouflagey, and the pictures on the back, there's motorbikes, there's bridges, there's explosions. Snake looks really, really young in one of the pictures, much younger than we're used to, and it looks stunning just from the box and the photographs of the game on the back. It looks really, really stunning. I'm looking forward to this one, I think, as well. I don't think it's going to let me down as much as I think it is. It might frustrate me a bit. Hopefully not as much as Mr. Gunn did. What was his name? Magruder. But if I do get through this and I manage to finish it, and I know it's going to be a long one, then I can be really sort of raise my hands in the air and think, yes, I've done it finally, and it'll give me some information that I've been lacking for years. So I'm hoping that it does, like I said before, fill in the blanks.
Yeah, you get that sort of satisfaction of finally doing it after all these years. I'm the same. Really looking forward to actually getting through it. As you say, it probably will be a long one. Half of the time probably spent watching cutscenes.
Don't you feel that sometimes the cutscenes, I mean, apart from being relevant, and obviously relevant to the story because you need that information, do you find yourself flicking through them quickly if you get frustrated? What do you tend to do?
I don't actually skip the cutscenes. What I do do sometimes to speed things up, or I do remember doing in Metal Gear, is when you've got the codec conversations where you've got the two faces and the sort of, you get the back and forth between the two characters. I remember you being able to sort of skip quickly through those and read it rather than listening to it, and I used to tend to do that just to sort of speed things along a little bit. But game cutscenes, I sort of have a bit of a thing about them that I don't like skipping them in case I miss something, so I'll always watch a cutscene no matter how long it is.
Yeah, and some of them are really spectacular, especially in Hideo Kojima games where, you know, from the past they've been really, really filled with action, and the art is just absolutely spectacular. They get some really powerful emotions going as well, which is really what this game is all about in part. It's understanding the characters and understanding the way they feel for each other, and I get this real... Actually, thinking back, I get this sort of vision of hate very vividly when characters in cutscenes express themselves, and they're voiced magnificently as well. And the music, I'm sure, is brilliant. So that'll add a little bit more of colour to the emotions and the hate, the love, the whatever it is in the story. I'm looking forward to it. There's a few other characters I'm looking forward to seeing. Volgin, I think, is another character I think I had some sort of knowledge of, or I remember. The other name that rings a bell from here is the Fear, who has a supernatural flexibility and agility, and I think he is the person I need to blame for dropping this game completely, because he was an absolute bastard to get through. I couldn't for the life of me beat him, and I tried anything and everything. So I'm hoping that this time round, I can't remember what exactly or when in the game he appears, but I remember him being a sort of very, you know, Predator, this idea of a transparenty, wobbly image up against a background of leaves. It's done very well in those films, in the Predator films. Well, I seem to remember something like that, and absolutely impossible to get. I don't know. I'll let you know in a couple of weeks how I got on, because I think this could be another challenge for me in the old shit aiming skills department. So we'll see we'll see how he goes, because I've got a feeling I'm not gonna find him too easy to beat. But I'll let you know about that. Right then, shall we take a break and come back with some house stuff, I suppose, and a bit more to talk about?
Absolutely, yeah, we'll come back right after this.
Lost, saved, looted.
Okay, we've had a few more iTunes reviews. We've had some on the English site and some on the Spanish site. Do you want to do the ones from the Spanish site, Joe?
Yeah, certainly. We've had reviews from John Inathoki, New Convert, Oyanko, Wanky Freaky. I think that's how, well, that's what it says here anyway. Thank you very much, guys, for your reviews. Keep them coming. Gracias, gracias. Escaricasco, we say here in the Basque Country. Thank you very much. Keep them coming, and pass the message on. And from the UK?
From the UK, we've had reviews from Tom Thumb and Count Fosco. So thanks, guys. Thanks very much for those 2 5-star reviews.
Do keep them coming if you like the show. All comments are welcome, positive, negative, anything you think we can improve, anything you think needs a little bit of work on, then do give us a shout and leave a message.
Absolutely. If you do think we're shit, tell us why, and then we can improve. Yeah, we welcome all comments. So thanks everyone for them iTunes reviews. And we've also had a couple of questions. The first question is actually from Count Fosco, who's one of the reviewers. So Count Fosco asks, what's your favourite older game to get a new re-release on any platform?
Ooh, my new... what? Older game? Say that, run that by me again.
What's your favourite older game to get a new re-release on any platform? While you're thinking, I know mine straight off the bat, and mine is the Monkey Island series, which has been remade in HD for It was released on PSN and Xbox Live Arcade, and I'm not a PC gamer, but it's probably been re-released on Steam as well, I think. Apologies for not knowing. I'm sure everyone else will know anyway. But yeah, they've done an absolutely fantastic job remaking those. They've kept all the humour and the dialogue. It's got the feel of the older game, but with the new visuals, and the sound, the voices have been done as well, and it's brilliant.
I've not played Monkey Island. I think I've had a go with it many years ago, but I've not been a PC gamer. So I've not. I might pick those up actually.
It's definitely worth picking them up, mate. They're absolutely brilliant games. I've lost count of how many there are now. I think they've recently done an episodic game as well. Released it in episodes, which I've not actually played, but I've definitely played the first 4 that were released.
Well, I don't know actually, to be honest. I've got a long list. I actually think one of the games that I would like to see again, and I think is actually coming out, one of the games I enjoyed very much in its day was Parasite Eve. Do you remember that, or have you heard of it?
Do you know what? I've never played it. I've heard a lot of good things about it, but I've never actually played it.
I remember it being really intense and really good, and I've heard and seen in various magazines that it's been remade or an equivalent of it's just come up. So I'm looking forward to reading. I've not read anything about it, so I can't comment on what the new stuff is going to be like, and I'll leave that to the other podcasters who know more than I do to review it and give it a bit of glory talk. But I did enjoy Parasite Eve, and I'm really looking forward to playing it again, a newer version, if that, or a newer story, or a new theme. I don't know, some content basically.
Right, I've just thought of another sort of follow-on question to that actually, and that is that if there was a game from the past that you'd always wanted to play but never had played, and you found out they were doing a HD remake of it, would you wait for the HD remake or go back and play the original?
I think I'd wait for the HD for some reason. I don't know. I think maybe because of the visual content, basically because it looks nicer, it looks much better, and revamped versions always have that little bit of added polish to them as well. So I think I would wait. Yeah, I would wait. Definitely.
I'm the opposite actually. I think I'd go back and play the original.
Would you, even if it was a bit blocky and...
Yeah, actually, I don't mind that. It never sort of puts me off playing a game that I've recently played the GoldenEye remake on the Nintendo Wii. I say I'll remake in inverted commas because it's sort of an update. It does sort of follow the same pattern, so to speak. The levels are very similar, but I would sort of class it as a new game rather than sort of just an HD. It's not an HD remake, obviously, because it's on the Wii, but...
Going back to something like GoldenEye, though, wouldn't that really frustrate you? Because you would be really used to modern controls nowadays, and you'd have sort of those extra visuals, and you'd be able to see just that little bit more detail in the game. Wouldn't it frustrate you a little bit?
The visuals never really do frustrate me, to be honest. It's more controls that frustrate me, because a recent example is Siphon Filter. I absolutely loved Siphon Filter when it first came out on the PlayStation, and I've recently gone back after buying it on the PSN and tried to play it again, but the controls just really frustrated me and I couldn't get into it. But with GoldenEye, I found that the new one it lacked the sort of charm and character that the first one had. I found that, personal opinion anyway. Other people might find it different, but that is sort of reaffirmed to me that I think I'd always prefer to go back and play the original before trying out a new one, trying out a sort of HD remake. We've got Ico and Shadow of the Colossus coming out later this. I think it's later this year in HD, and I'd like to go back and play the originals of them before they come out in HD. And if I'd like them, I'll get them in HD and play them again. But I would like to play the originals first.
See, I haven't played any of those. I haven't played Ico or Shadow, and I think they're spectacularly visually they're very spectacular, so I think they might impress, really, or impress me very much on a HD screen with real real gameplay, as it were, with its own, with added visuals, just to give it a little bit more of a flavour to the game and more impacting, if you like. And I think that's the part of the game. It's important because it's like food. You see it first before you eat it, and I think with the games with me, I've got to see what they look like and got to really have an eye for a game before it's worth picking up. Anyway, this is my own personal opinion. Maybe I'm completely wrong, I don't know, but I just always like to see games and what they're like. Right,
next question then. We've had a question also from Scolacci, and he says, after hearing you talk about the soundtrack to Gun and how much you loved it, I was just wondering what your favourite music is from gaming over the years.
Ooh, good question. I'd have to say top of my list is the score in Red Dead Redemption. I've said it many times. I think it's brilliant. It's fantastic. It's very atmospheric. It really brings the whole world to life. And apart from being a brilliant game, I think that's half the battle won, really, in my view. I think they've done a fantastic job with the music.
Yeah, it's brilliant, isn't it? In Red Dead, it is really evocative and it sort of sets the mood fantastically. Yeah, brilliant.
Much like we were talking in the previous episode, we were talking about the scoring Gun. That was quite epic as well. It sounded really, really good. We remember talking about that. I think westerns might be easier to do than other types of game genres, maybe. I don't know. Maybe that's just something, because the western's got its its clanging bells and its banjo and its harmonica, and they seem to be quite all the soundtracks seem to be quite similar in some way. I mean, but
they do have sort of a theme to them, don't
yeah. But I think, having said that, they do fit the bill very, very well in these games, and they add a lot of atmosphere, at least. Moving away from Western, though, I think I would also have to say the GTA soundtracks. San Andreas was good, GTA 4 was very good. They add some great music on the radio, and even though we do sometimes get bogged down with stuff to do in the game, it's always nice wandering or flicking through the radio channels in the car or wherever you are and listening to some old music, different types of music. And they've got some great people selecting music at Rockstar, because they've really, really done a great job of adding soundtrack and life to a game very, very well.
Vice City stands out for me from the Grand Theft Auto games. I think the 80s soundtrack from that, it really, really set the scene for it. I've got memories of sort of cruising down the highway on a sort of chopper bike with John Waite, Missing You blaring out through the stereo, and it was just a fantastic moment, and it's sort of one of them moments that you'll always remember from gaming. The music, the setting, and everything sort of falls together and just makes a brilliant moment. Completely away from the story, absolutely nothing to do with anything that's going on, really. Just one of those moments that you stumble upon every now and again in a game that'll just stay with you for ages. It was brilliant.
Did you have your sleeve rolls up on your white blazer as well?
Yeah, and my espadrilles on.
Yeah, and your tash with the old mirror sunglasses. Great.
Anyway, I'll go on to my favourite music. I've got just while you were talking, then I can think of three from sort of they're all from the Amiga days, actually. And the first one was Lotus Esprit Turbo Challenge 2. There was a song in that which was really synthy, really, really 80s, and it was just, I've got brilliant memories of it just playing as you sort of, it was a really simple game, obviously, just weaving in and out of traffic, staying on the road, a time trial sort of game. A little bit like Outrun, but not quite as well done, I wouldn't say. Also from the Amiga days there was a tune in a game called Cannon Fodder. Did you ever play Cannon Fodder?
No, but I've heard of it.
It was a really good game, actually. I used to love that. controlling the little soldiers, and you had certain objectives to complete on certain maps. I never finished it. It got really hard for me, I remember back when I was playing it, but there was a piece of music when you'd finished a level, and you'd have a sort of a list of the soldiers that you'd lost during that level, the killed in action, and there was a piece of music that played over that was really, really good. I used to love it, and again, I'll root the clip out actually and stick it in. And the third game was R-Type, again from the Amiga, and it was I think it was the title screen music. Again, I think it was really synthy and 80s sounding, but I don't know what it is about it. It just sort of sets the mood, and it was quite evocative, and I really enjoyed listening to it. I used to sort of sit in front of the screen just watching that one scene with that music playing over and over.
Good stuff. Good stuff. That's it. Keep them coming again with questions and stuff. Always nice to find out what people think and what we think as well, of course.
Yeah, and what people want to know from us. Yeah, welcome more questions, absolutely. Okay, just a few little things now to wrap up. If anybody does want to get in touch with us, ask us any questions or make any suggestions, we do have a Twitter account and an email address. Do you want to give those out, Joe?
We do indeed. We have a Twitter account which is @LastSaveLoaded, or one word, and our Hotmail account is lastsaveloaded, or one word, @hotmail.co.uk. You can contact us individually as well. My Twitter is @GBJoey71. And you are?
And mine, I've actually changed mine. Mine is now just @JakeDelToro. That's JakeDelTrow. @JakeDelToro.
TEROW. Your spelling's a bit poor, mate.
Yeah, I'm having one of them days. It's JakeDelTro. Whatever. Jake Del Toro. I'm sure you all know how to spell it, even if I don't.
With a W.
That's it, yeah. No W at the end, just to reiterate.
Brilliant.
So I think that about wraps up this introductory episode for Snake Eater, and we'll be back. We're aiming to be back at the end towards the... I think we've sort of unofficially said to each other that we're going to try and get the main episodes out on the last Monday of every month, but this being a long game, we may slightly overrun that. But we keep your eye on the Twitter feed and our individual Twitter feeds and the podcast Twitter feed, and we'll keep everyone updated. And also pop into the Game of Dork forum and have a look at our topic in there. We'll keep that updated as well. One last thing just before we go is a big thanks to Elmo and Michael from Joypod for the mention they gave us on the last episode. Much appreciated, so thanks very much for that. And that about does it, I think. We shall see everybody on the other side of Snake Eater.
Oof, it's going to be a long one.
It may well be. I've got quite a bit of free time this week at the end of the week, so I can get a good run on it, I think.
Well, I'll be recording Last Save Loaded probably August or something like that. I'll do each episodic content. I think I'll do one, maybe do the three first hours or the first 3 hours on next week or the end of the month, and then do another 3 hours in the end of March. And
maybe we should do a podcast for every level in this game rather than just the game. In fact, we've got quite a few long games coming up. Actually, I'm not going to say which ones now, but a few of the games that we've got lined up are actually quite long, so we'll have to get used to this.
They've got quite a bit of content. They're quite meaty as well, but I think they're worth going into.
Definitely, there's a few that I'm really looking forward to. A couple that have actually had HD remakes, funnily enough, but we are going with the originals.
Yeah, but I think it's worth going back to those, and after all, that is what we really want to do. Just go back and experience those old games again and get a feel for them like we did all those years ago, in my case. Right then, well, all that remains to say is thanks again to everybody for their support and their help, and happy gaming, really, is all I can say.
Yeah, thanks everybody for listening. I have been Jake Del Toro with a W, by the way.
See you maybe on Friday for FCJD Day.
Yeah, a bit of Friday Cliff Jump Day. If anyone wants to join us, absolutely.
Yeah, just send us an invite. We'll be on PSN, usual time. And we'll have a bit of fun, a bit of a laugh.
Should we give out our PSN IDs? That might be an idea.
Yeah, I'm just GBJoey.
Yeah, speaks for itself. Mine is actually James_Bond_Junior.
Anyway, look forward to seeing everyone again on the other side of this immensely huge title, and with some good things to say, some positive things to say, maybe some negative things if I don't manage to kill the final boss. But either way, all the better for it, I think. So, thank you very much, and happy gaming.
Absolutely, happy gaming, everybody.
Lost, save, loaded.